Hello, I hope all of you all are doing your given assignments. So let's just move to national development versus tribal development. So here we'll talk about the development of our nation versus the development of the tribal groups. So national development during the era of Nehru involved building large dams, factories, mines. These were done at the cost of the tribals. So Jawaharlal Nehru, he's the first Prime Minister of India. So during his rule, when he was the Prime Minister of India, the development of the nation, it took place in the form of building of dams, large dams, factories, mines. Okay, so all of this was being done at the cost of the tribals. So when all of this development was taking place, when large dams were being built, factories were being built, mines were being dug, the people who were suffering because of that development taking place were the tribals. The tribals lived in the forest and mineral rich land, thus had to suffer for national development. Okay, so the forests were being cut, okay, where the tribals used to live, and it was in the forest where all these factories, buildings were being built, and mineral rich land. So to dug the mineral, mining was taking place, mines were being built where the tribals lived in the land where there were a lot of minerals. So mining began to take place in those land, and the tribals, they became displaced, they had to leave their land, so they had to suffer, okay, because of national development. The tribals have been displaced for the sake of national development. Displaced meaning like they are living in a particular place, and because of the act of development of the nation that is taking place, they were removed from the particular area, okay, because of the development of the country, because various new things were being built. Development projects such as exploitation of minerals, setting up of hydroelectric power plants have displaced the tribals. So all of these projects contributing to the development of the nation, development of our country, was exploiting the tribals. It was displacing the tribals from their homeland. The tribals have also lost their forests. So the tribals, they usually they meet their needs, okay, their basic needs of food and shelter, of living their daily life from the forest. But because of the process of development being taking place, they began to lose their forests, okay, which was very close to the tribals. The forests began to be exploited during the colonial rule and continued after independence. So we studied about how forests, the colonial rule, all these Britishers were taking over the forest, so that continued even after independence. The tribals followed community ownership of property. This means that there was no individual property. There was no such person as only one person owning a certain plot of land or owning some kind of property, but like the entire community of the tribals owned the entire forest. They did not have a single family owning something only for themselves, okay, so there was community ownership. But the coming in of private ownership of property caused a setback. But then in the mainstream India, there was private ownership where different families, they owned different properties. So because of that, the tribals were facing a problem. In migration of non-tribals into tribal concentrated area has also been taking place. So the non-tribals, okay, the people from the mainstream land of India, they were going in and settling in the areas of the tribals, the areas where the tribals were living. So because of the in-migration of these people who are not tribals into the place or into the area occupied by the tribals, was also creating a problem, was also exploiting the tribals. This causes exploitation of the tribals and tends to threaten and disrupt their culture. So if a person from any other culture or a non-tribal begins to live in the area of the tribals, slowly they may grow into a majority, and because of that, the culture, the identity of the tribals, it begins to be disrupted. Okay, it begins to face problems. For example, the tribals of Jharkhand has declined in the tribal concentration. So the tribal areas of Jharkhand has declined in the tribal concentration. So Jharkhand has been formed because of continuous demand of the tribals to have their own state. So now, because of the in-migration of all the people of mainstream India, these areas have been losing the number of tribal population. Although it is a tribal area of a particular tribe or a group of tribes, but because of people who are non-tribals living in those areas, the number of tribals have declined. In Tripura, the tribal population decreased by 500,000 in a single decade. So that's way too much. The tribals have become I think it's a minority, not majority. The tribals have become a minority in Tripura. Okay, so the tribal population has declined drastically, and there the tribals became a minority. Okay, minority population, right, where they have less number of population. The same has been experienced by Arunachal Pradesh. So like Tripura, the same thing is going on with Arunachal Pradesh.